What's going on, Taylor?
Going on, Brandon? Crazy week we've had so far.
Crazy week,
Got some
man.
news to talk about. Got some upsets to discuss, and
So jail sentencing, that's going to be
eh,
happening.
most likely, most
Unfortunately.
likely, yeah. Unfortunately, but got to do what you got to do in those situations. So
Yep.
let's
All
dive
right.
right on into it. What do you got for us?
So we always start off with recruiting news. So let's go on. I think you have some news about an Oklahoma flip over there, and four-star Nicholas Anderson.
Yep, I believe we got him to decommit from Oregon. Correct?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we got. I think that was a good flip for Oklahoma. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we got some talent that we needed. I mean, Oklahoma being able to flip some recruits, that's good for us
Yeah.
all around. So, pretty excited about that.
And then we got a former Florida commit, four-star cornerback Julio Humphrey, who decommitted from Florida last week, put out his top three today of LSU, Texas A&M, and Georgia, with a heavy Georgia lean.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Very heavy Georgia lean. Unfortunately, the Gators might lose one, or they're going to lose one to a in division rival, rather be LSU, A&M, or Georgia, which is sucks for Gators fans out there. But hold your heads up high. You can still get third place in the East. Um, and then in big time news, four-star quarterback UCLA commit Justin Martin threw 13 touchdown passes in his game against the Monarchs.
I don't.
Inglewood Sentinels versus the Monarchs. They won 106-0. The other team didn't even put up points. 106-0.
I don't care what uh, level of football that is. Pee wee backyard football. That's just insane. I mean, that's just absolutely
That's
wild.
not that's not nice.
That's just absolutely disrespectful.
Imagine, right? Imagine you being a high schooler who just failed his algebra test and then going and getting beaten 106-0.
Yeah, yeah. Two bombs were dropped that day.
Oh man, I think that's the only. I think that's it for recruiting news. Although Justin Martin, man, like if you're throwing 13 touchdown passes in high school in the top conferences in California, you know UCLA got a nice quarterback there.
Yeah, agreed.
So watch out for him in the years coming. Who knows? Hopefully Chip Kelly can develop him, but we all know what Chip Kelly does. So we'll see about that.
He'll be gone in a year.
Then we move on to our college games this past weekend where we had a few upsets in week 9. We had Michigan State beat Michigan. It wasn't really much of an upset, but we had Wisconsin beat Iowa 27-7. Pretenders. Iowa has always been pretenders. At one point, they were ranked number 3.
Yeah, Iowa just did not show up the way that I think everybody thought they were going to,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of sad because I think you've had Iowa State and Iowa both were ranked at the beginning of the season
Yep.
fairly high. And now you've got Iowa State who's doing nothing. And now it looks like, which I mean, like you said, Iowa
Yeah.
is pretenders now. So, I mean, it
And
sucks, but
listen, Wisconsin has been on an upset rampage these past couple weeks, beating Purdue. They just beat
yep.
Iowa, and I don't know. They watch out. If you're playing Wisconsin and you're ranked, don't sleep on them because they're going to take
Yep.
your ranking away. And then we move on to Miami beats Pittsburgh. Number 17 Pittsburgh goes down to Miami 38 to
That's
34.
That one got me. I was not expecting that one. I think last show I was pretty confident that Pittsburgh was gonna win this one, but I mean,
We both
38
were.
to 34. I actually was watching that game near the end. Miami wanted this one. Pittsburgh. I mean, they wanted it too, but you could just tell Miami
Yeah,
wanted it more. So,
Miami is nice.
congratulations, Miami. That's all I gotta say. I mean, you're still what 4-4.
Yeah.
I mean, take a win where you can get one.
Moral victories.
Yeah.
So we do that on there in Florida. Then we move on to West Virginia beat. And speaking of Iowa State, West Virginia beat number 22 Iowa State 38 to 31.
Yeah,
And
I wasn't
Iowa,
expecting that one.
yeah.
Uh,
If
I
you're
mean,
in
West
Iowa,
Virginia.
go ahead.
West Virginia has a pretty good squad. Just didn't think they would be able to outplay Iowa State. But I believe just like Iowa State are pretenders.
Yeah. If you're a fan of either Iowa State, or if you live in the state of Iowa, which is already a walking L, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Oh man,
You did not have to put the entire state on blast like that.
Put it on
Although
blast.
I will say, working in that area, Iowa is a walking L, 100%.
Yeah. And then number 18 Auburn beats number 10 Ole Miss 31-20. Did not see that. Matt Corral being a top QB prospect, I thought they'd be able to jump over that hurdle of Auburn. Unfortunately, Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers take down Ole Miss. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I really thought Matt was a little bit better than that. I don't even think he threw a touchdown that game. I think all he had was one interception, 0 touchdowns. I don't remember how many yards he threw for, but just wasn't a good game overall. Pretty disappointed. I really thought Ole Miss was a little bit better than what they showed that day. So pretty upset.
I will say, okay, this next game, Kentucky almost beat Georgia.
Yep.
They beat a ranked, at the time, pretty good Florida team. Number 12.
Thought to have been good Florida team.
You're right. Well, they just went down to Mississippi State and lost 31-17.
Yep.
Pretenders.
I don't know if they're pretenders. I just think the media gave them too much. You never really see like any Kentucky players out there really boasting.
Yeah.
Like you do like Coastal Carolina or schools like that going around like talking ish and stuff like that. So I think Kentucky was just a little beefed up by the media and ranked a little higher than they probably should have been.
Got a little
Cincinnati. And this is what you're getting. You know, they played a pretty decent school in Mississippi State, and that's what you get. 31-17 L.
Yeah.
Dropping down to 6-2. So
unfortunately. And then an upset that I called last week. You picked SMU. You said, I'm not going against SMU this time. And I said, I'm taking Houston. SMU, number 19 SMU, loses to Houston 44-37.
Yep, I've got nothing to add on to this one. SMU, you're trash. And thanks for giving me the L on this one. So go Houston. And SMU, I hope you drop out of the top 25.
So Houston does not have a problem. They'll probably move up into the top 25 as they move on, I think, to 6-1 or 7-1. All right, then we have Fresno. The last upset game was this is a year of upsets. It seems like every week we got like at least 6. The last one is Fresno State beats number 21 San Diego State 30-20. The battle of California.
Pretty sure I had San Diego State on this one. Didn't expect Fresno State to come out there and throw it down like that, but congratulations. Don't really think either team's going to do much more this year. I don't think they really have a strong schedule. So
Fresno State is going all the way. College football playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see about that one.
Okay, I'm totally kidding on that.
Yeah.
Totally kidding.
I'm locking you in on it.
Don't lock me in on that.
Already got you down.
That's painful.
Yep.
So now we got with our upsets. I mean, this year has been pretty crazy for upsets. I mean, I've watched college football for a long time. I know you have. This year is completely unpredictable. I mean, you could be like Tulane is going to beat SMU, and you're going to be wrong like you were. But
yeah.
I mean, you could be like SMU is going to beat Ohio State, and you know what? It could very well happen. You just never know.
Yeah, usually in previous college football seasons, it's kind of a rare thing and kind of a special thing to see an upset, especially of a top 10 team going down to an unranked team. There's the sense of excitement and like David versus Goliath kind of feeling to it. But this season, it's kind of, Missouri's going to beat Georgia next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Lock it in, Everybody's getting beat. Top 5 teams are getting beat. Top 20 teams, top 25 teams. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're ranked on the top 25 AP poll right now because your chances of losing are pretty high, regardless of who you are, as you've seen all season. It just kind of taken the excitement out of the upset.
I mean,
the game's still there, but the upset factor is just not as exciting as it usually is.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about upsets and how this season compares to others. I mean, like you were saying, back then it was David versus Goliath. I remember Auburn winning against Alabama, number 1 ranked Alabama, on a kick return, or it was a failed field goal attempt.
It was a field goal return for a
field
touchdown.
goal return for a touchdown, and like everyone was going. Even if you weren't Auburn fans, you were going wild because number 1 Alabama went down. And I think this year is just a little like, oh, Alabama lost. Oh, this team, like it's just not the same feeling.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving on to that, TCU, who has Zach Evans, one of the top running backs in the country, 5-star prospect coming in and all that, killing it this year. They just fired their head coach midway through the season. What are your thoughts on that?
I really didn't think Patterson deserved to be let go, honestly. Being a fan of a team in the Big 12, for now at least, I've always respected his coaching style. I actually kind of liked him personally. Hated going up against him because he's got a good playbook, just the way he runs his team. So I don't know where this came from because it's not like TCU is set up for a championship run this year, next year, or anytime in the foreseeable future. So I don't know where that decision came from, honestly.
I would agree there, especially since he's the head coach that recruited their first ever 5-star prospect.
Yeah.
I think, like, to land that big of a prospect that was once committed to Georgia, I think that's going to hurt TCU's recruiting. Kind of like Texas Tech firing their head coach. You already don't have a lot of leverage, so firing your head coach midway through the season does you no justice. It's not like you're going to go out there and sign Arch Manning, you know what I'm saying, as a TCU. So, I mean, if that happens, you know what? I will wear a chicken suit and run down whatever street, need be. I don't think Arch Manning is going anywhere near TCU. But if that happens, the season's been weirder.
Yeah, I mean, you see what happened with Texas Tech. I mean, they had no chance against Oklahoma. They had a coach change right before a pretty big game for Texas Tech. TCU is going up against Baylor, I believe. Or did they go up against them last week? I'm not sure.
Baylor
it was
played,
last week.
Texas last week.
Okay, so yeah, they're going up against them this week. Baylor's ranked in the top 15. I don't know exactly what their ranking is. I think it's 12.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going up against Baylor, top-ranked team, and you fire your coach right before the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like the
chaos.
week before. I don't see the thought process in that. Finish out the season, quietly go about letting them go. That's what happens in the off season. You make changes. Midway through the season, I mean, what are you doing? And, so I don't get it.
I will say, being their name Texas Christian University, it wasn't very Christian-like for you to fire him right before Christmas.
Agreed.
All right. Speaking of another coach potentially on the hot seat, we're on Todd Grantham watch over there at Florida. Dan Mullen did not let any of his players do press conference or Todd Grantham. There's reports that in order to save his job, Dan Mullen might come after Todd Grantham, let him loose at the end of the season or before the end of the season. So I know for Florida fans, they're hoping that Todd Grantham, kicks the bucket, not like, doesn't die, but like hits the road. Their defense is abysmal right now. They have some top-rated talent over there at Florida on the defensive side, but he's not putting them in a position to stop opponents. And we're on that Todd Grantham watch, and if we're not on Todd Grantham watch, we're on Dan Mullen and the entire coaching staff watch over there at Florida. We go into that Florida team. We talk about how Dan Mullen, he started Anthony Richardson this past week against Georgia. That is a tall order for a freshman quarterback to go against the number 1 team in the nation. He did struggle. He ended up getting injured, not being able to finish out the game. Emory Jones went in and actually played pretty well. Do we stick? I know we've been on the Anthony Richardson, Emory Jones subject. Do we stick with Anthony? He said on Twitter that he's feeling better, ready for next game. Do we stick with Anthony and let those growing pains happen since we've already made that switch? Or do we go back to Emory because he played pretty well at the end of Georgia?
Personally, I think Anthony Richardson's a better player. With the season you're having, it's a wash. It's a sucky thing to say, but Florida season's it's game over. You guys aren't gonna go to a bowl game. You might, depending on how the season finishes, but you're not gonna get a championship. You might as well put them in the game, develop them, get them some real time reps outside of practice reps. Let them get used to that college football scenery and that environment. Let them learn the game a little bit more, and then start them next season.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think even if he didn't play too well. I think he went against the number one team, and that's a pretty hard thing to do. It's your first start ever in your career, and just be like, hey, go play Georgia, number one team in the country, number one defense. Go do that, and see how you perform. He didn't play great, but I think sometimes in life you get lessons and blessings. I think this game was a lesson. Big stage, allow him to get that experiences you were talking about, and I think for the rest of the year you have to go Anthony. You've already benched Emory. It makes no sense to keep playing QB carousel.
Yeah.
Go with Anthony. If he's healthy, go with him. And we'll see what Georgia does with their head coach and defensive coordinator. All these teams are playing coach carousel, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Speaking of Georgia, Georgia has been dominant this year on all sides of the ball. Your thoughts?
Georgia is definitely the best team, and they deserve that number one spot. They've played good teams. They haven't had a soft schedule. I think they beat Clemson. Let's see, I'm going to pull it up here. Yeah, they beat Clemson. Let's see.
Clemson's pretty bad this year.
Yeah, but I think that was their first game. They played Clemson. So,
yeah,
they were ranked number 3 at the time. So they won against them. They beat Arkansas. They were ranked at the time. They beat Auburn. They were ranked at the time. They beat Kentucky. They were ranked at the time. Florida was a supposed good team, or I don't know, not at the time because that was this past week. But they played some good teams.
Yeah.
Georgia's been dominant. They're good on defense. They're good on offense. They're good on special teams. They're good all around. I'm predicting that Georgia wins the national championship this year.
I would agree. And Kirby Smart this past weekend, they asked how he got his team to be so dominant, and he said, you can only coach so much. It comes down to the players, and that goes into recruiting. Everyone talked about recruiting for other teams and stuff like that, how Nick Saban's a great recruiter, and Dan Mullen's not as much. That's why Florida, hurt in there. Georgia, he said, we invest so much money into our recruiting department because at the end of the day, the players got to play, and we can only call, play. If you got 3-star recruits, 2-star recruits, and you call a play against Alabama, the 5-star recruits, even if they're out of alignment, are automatically probably still going to dominate. So they invest all this money more into recruiting than they do their own coaches. I think that's smart. It shows that recruits coming in, that they're invested, and in college, it's all about recruiting and who can recruit the best. It's as simple as that. Really little to do with coaching. Coaching is an aspect, but recruiting is a big part. Now we go into our top 25 over there and our wins and losses for this upcoming week. Week 10, we'll start off with Missouri versus Georgia. You called it potentially. You said a lot earlier in the show. If someone said Missouri beats Georgia, I wouldn't second guess it.
I'm going to second guess it here. I'm going Georgia is beating Missouri.
I would say that's a good call. I think Georgia takes that win there.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind of fun. All right.
Yeah, I'm not taking that.
We got number 5, Ohio State versus Nebraska.
Are they playing in Nebraska or Ohio? I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. Ohio State.
Then we
do have Ohio State losing in the future, though.
Then we got number 9, Wake Forest versus North Carolina.
I'm going to pull an upset here and say North Carolina.
Oh, 4-4. North Carolina beats 8-0 Wake Forest. I'm going to have to stick with Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, are playing lights out football. I think they take that. North Carolina has been kind of kind of shoddy, hit or miss. All right,
You got that NC versus NC right there. You know that's always going to be a battle.
100%. Now we have the number 1 NFL quarterback, Malik Willis, and Liberty University at 7-2, going against number 16 Ole Miss at 6-2. Who are you taking?
After last week, it's a toss-up, man. Throw me down for another upset. I'm taking Liberty.
All right, we're going Liberty. I would have to agree. I think that it's the number 1, the top 2 quarterback prospects coming of this year's draft versus Matt Corral versus Liberty. Is Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis is a generational talent. I think he's going to be solid in the NFL. I think he's solid in college. I think he takes that. We have number 20, Minnesota versus Illinois.
Minnesota.
All right, I'm going to have to agree with Minnesota, although I would watch out because Illinois pulled an upset against Penn State.
Nah.
But I think Minnesota's solid there.
Yeah, Penn State just lost 2 games in a row, so yeah. Minnesota.
We have Duke versus Pittsburgh, number 25, Pittsburgh.
I don't know if I want to go with Pittsburgh again, but I'm going with them. Pittsburgh taking on Duke.
All right, I'm taking Pittsburgh as well. Duke is more of a basketball program there. Number 3, Michigan State versus Purdue.
Michigan State.
Okay, so Michigan State. Yeah. After we do the top 25, Taylor, we'll each give our top 4 of who we think will make the college football playoffs. We'll even bring that what we have up there and give our own opinions. We have number 6, Cincinnati versus Tulsa.
Cincinnati. Tulsa's a terrible program.
I'm going up. I'm just kidding. Cincinnati.
Nah, not on that one, man. Come on.
All right. Next game is number 10, Notre Dame versus Navy.
I'm just going to stick with Notre Dame.
All right. I'm going to have to go with Notre Dame as well. And then we have number 11, Oklahoma State versus West Virginia. West Virginia pulled up the upset last week. Do they do it again?
Nah, not against Oklahoma State. That's one of the better teams in the Big 12. Going Oklahoma State.
All right, I'll have to agree. It looks like we're not really predicting any upsets this week.
Nah, not this week. I think it's going to be a pretty solid week.
All right, number 12, Baylor versus TCU, who just fired their head coach.
TCU is going to get destroyed. Baylor.
Okay, I was about waiting for the rest of that sentence. I'm going to go Baylor as well. Yeah. This isn't really an upset watch. This is 13 versus 14. 13 Auburn versus 14 Texas A&M.
Are they played in Texas?
Yes, they are playing at Texas A&M.
I'm going to go Texas A&M, so technically an upset.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texas A&M as well. Texas A&M beat Alabama this year. I'm not counting against them. Then we have number 15, BYU versus Idaho State.
Who? I'm going BYU.
He said, who? Are you sure you don't want to pick Idaho State?
What's their record? Oh, no.
Yeah. All right, I'm going BYU as well. I was just joking there. Wisconsin is ranked, so they're no longer the upset kings. It's number 21 Wisconsin versus Rutgers.
I'm going Wisconsin.
I'm going Rutgers.
Wisconsin. What?
I'm thinking Rutgers pulls the upset on the upset king. I'm calling it, man. They're 4-4. Wisconsin's 5-3. There's only a 1-game difference. I think Rutgers pulls the upset. You can jot it down if you want. Now we have number 17, Mississippi State versus Arkansas. Wow. Both are 5-3, and they're playing in Arkansas.
Let me give it to Arkansas. I mean, they were good at the beginning of the year. Maybe they got things refigured out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Arkansas as well, so that's going to be an upset. And then, so we're getting into our upsets here. We got NC State versus Florida State.
NC State.
I'm going to go number 19, NC State as well. Interconference battle here versus LSU and number 2, Alabama. Who you taking?
I'm going with Alabama. I don't think Alabama's losing again until they got to face Georgia in the championship. So
I agree there. I think Alabama beats LSU. Now we go to number 18, Kentucky versus Tennessee.
I'm going to go Kentucky.
I'm going to have to go with Kentucky. I think Tennessee volunteers the L. And then okay, so Iowa was ranked number 8 last week. They're number 22 now. About to slip out of the top 25. They're going against Northwestern.
I'm going to give it to Iowa. I don't think Northwestern has it at them.
All right, I'll have to give it to Iowa as well. I think they stay in the top 25 this week. We're still watching. I think they might slip out. Number 23, Fresno State versus Boise State.
Fresno.
I'm going to go with Fresno as well.
So they just swapped spots with San Diego State?
Yeah, they did. And number 4, Oregon versus Washington.
I think Washington fired their head coach as well. So I'm going with Oregon.
Going with 7-1 Oregon as well. We have Indiana versus number 7 Michigan. I think that's pretty easy.
Michigan.
Yeah, would have to agree. Michigan all the way. And San Diego State, surprisingly, is still ranked. 24, San Diego State versus Hawaii.
I'm going to go San Diego State, and I don't know how they're still ranked.
Yeah, I don't know it either, but I'm going to have to go San Diego State as well. Hawaii.
They're running out of people to put in the top 25. That's why.
Yeah, like, who hasn't lost this year? Right?
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of all these rankings, right, we just went down through the rankings. Who are your top 4 to make the college football playoffs? Let's do a little prediction. Let's first show what they got out right now. You brought this to my attention. The selection committee rankings, they have Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon all going to the college football playoffs. And as our viewers can see here, the rest of the top 25 with Oklahoma at 8. What's your top 4?
So, number 1's Georgia. I don't think Alabama is going to make the playoffs because I think they're going to lose to Georgia in the conference championship. So they're bumped out. I'd give the number 2 spot as of right now to Michigan State. Mm-hmm. 3rd spot to Oregon. And the 4th spot to Oklahoma because I think Ohio State is going to lose to Michigan State and Michigan and bump them out. And I don't think Cincinnati's really played anybody.
I think it's safe bet that Cincinnati's not making the playoffs.
Yeah. And I know Oklahoma hasn't played like anybody too big, but we've got Baylor coming up and we have Oklahoma State, both top-ranked teams. So I think if we can show up and dominate, I think Oklahoma bumps up to that number 4 spot.
I would agree. My top 4 for the college football playoffs, just going eye test, I think it's Georgia, of course, number 1. You've got Alabama, Michigan State, and this isn't in any order outside of Georgia, Michigan State, and Oklahoma. I think Michigan State's defense is dominant this year. I think they deserve that top 4 spot. I think they should be locked in. I think Caleb Williams and the Sooners are being slept on right now. And I think they should deserve that top 4 spot over Oregon. Oregon's in the Pac-12. There's not much competition there.
No.
I just don't see it. I mean, they have a good running game. That's about it. Defense is pretty good.
No.
But they're playing cupcake teams just like Cincinnati is, and just off strength of schedule, I would probably put Oklahoma, especially with what you just said. They're coming up on some pretty hard games there, so I think Oklahoma sneaks past those teams and remains undefeated.
Yep.
And Georgia's Georgia, Alabama's Alabama. That's just my opinion. That's my top 4. That's Taylor's top 4 compared to what they got in the college football playoffs so far. We're going to move on to the NFL. Breaking news for the Raiders. Unfortunate news for the Raiders. Star wide receiver and sophomore wide receiver Henry Ruggs only played 2 years in the NFL. He's going to be playing the longest yard with Adam Sandler here shortly as he decided to drink and drive, get a DUI, and rear-end somebody, and unfortunately took their lives in his Corvette the other day. Your thoughts?
The first thing I have to say was, did this happen in Las Vegas?
I believe so.
Okay. So when the transition from Oakland to Las Vegas happened, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, this is going to be a terrible thing to happen. You're going to get young NFL players who just came into money, and you're going to put them in Las Vegas.
Sin City.
What do you expect to happen? It was just, waiting to happen. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. It's a terrible idea to put a bunch of young NFL players with a bunch of money, where there's alcohol, women, fast cars, you name it. You just add all that together, and this was just waiting to happen. I think it's terrible. Prayers go out to both families, Henry's family, and the person that passed away in the other vehicle or on the street. I don't know exactly
inside the vehicle
what happened, but prayers to them. Terrible situation. So hopefully both families can move on eventually. And I hope Henry gets some justice served. That's just something you don't do. So
yeah, and it's unfortunate he was a up and coming star, but
I think he was a first round draft pick.
Yeah, first round draft pick. Had his whole life, and the stupid part about it, right? Henry Ruggs, you literally, your touchdown celebration is you putting up 3 fingers for your high school best friend who died in the same cause because of a car accident.
That's terrible.
You've got to be smarter. You can't put the 3 up for one of your best friends who died because of a car accident, and then go and do the exact reason why you just don't do that. You knew better. And the NFLPA, the Player Association, has assets to when you're drinking out and driving. You just call them up and they hook you up with a ride. All you had to do, man, leave your Corvette behind, lock the doors, and have someone pick you up, or have someone who's sober walk over to wherever you're at and drive your Corvette home and stay the night with you. There's so many other options. There's Lyft, there's Uber, dude. Like, you ended someone's life because of your stupidity, and unfortunately, your life is going to be altered because of that. See you in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm sorry, man. I can't. Like, I'm sure you didn't mean it, but you meant it when you got behind the wheel when you were drinking and driving. It's simple as that.
Especially when you have so many outlets. You've got Uber, you've got Lyft, you've got an insane amount of money to call those people. Yeah, you've got taxis, you've got friends, you've got the NFL assets like Brandon just mentioned. You had so many opportunities to not get inside that vehicle and drive, and you failed to even attempt any of them, as far as I'm concerned, and you took somebody's life. You get what's coming to you. Like Brandon said, about 5 to 10 years.
And you probably won't come back to the league because, you'll be old.
Yep.
And what you did. That's probably more important. So prayers out to the family who lost a loved one. And I'm sorry, man. You messed up. All right. So then we have Jalen Smith. We're going to go into NFL news here. We have Jalen Smith. We have the trade deadline this week. So players got cut. Players got traded. All sorts of whirlwind. Jalen Smith left Dallas to go to the Packers, and he's a top-tier linebacker, and the Packers just cut him. So he's free to go to whoever he wants. Now, I don't think he's been playing well with the Packers. I don't think he's been probably meshing with the team, probably. He's only had a couple games with them. I don't know if I would have cut him, but where are some potential landing spots for Jalen Smith, Taylor? To some linebacker needy teams.
There's a lot of teams that could use some help, honestly. I've got no team in particular. I'm surprised he was even let go, honestly. Not really the decision I would have made on him.
Does that go to the Rams? Do the Rams get Von Miller? And
if the Rams got Von Miller and picked him up at Super Bowl bound. All day, every day. Come on.
Speaking of Von Miller gets traded from the Broncos to the Rams. As you can tell, my co-host here, he's a very proud Rams fan. I'll let him speak on this news to his team.
Yep. So since Von Miller entered the league, he's been the sack leader. And since Aaron Donald has entered the league, he's been the sack leader. And now they're both on the same team. You've already got like 3 to 4 people trying to cover Aaron Donald at any given time. And you've got like 2 people trying to cover Von Miller at any given time. The possibilities are now endless. The Rams defense might have just become the best defense in the league right now. I'm personally excited to see what they do. Just as a regular football fan, I'm excited to see what they do. Hopefully, it turns out to be something spectacular to watch. Hopefully, Von Miller can stay healthy, and hopefully they can click and work. I'm excited to have him on the team, so we'll see what happens.
I will say that the NFC the NFC West you guys are in?
Yep.
Are you guys on franchise mode on Madden? Like random, like you got J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Zach Ertz down there in Arizona, and then you guys pick up Von Miller. You have Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford. It's like literally those two historic franchises went on rookie mode and then just like pick players. And they're like,
whoever. Yep.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I just got a Joe Montana Ultimate card. Let's bring him back from retirement at GOAT status. You know, I mean, I don't get it. You guys are just the rich get richer, and I think it's going to come down to the Rams or the Cardinals in that division. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that I think the Rams take it. I think in the playoffs, just the inexperience with Kyler Murray in the playoffs there. I think that Matthew Stafford has more experience under his belt to take that win. Now we're going to stay with the Los Angeles Rams. Desean Jackson requested a trade earlier in the week, and now he has since been cut. What are some potential spots? Well, what are your thoughts originally? And then what are some potential spots for Desean Jackson, who is still the yak leader of receivers?
I think he's going to go to Philly, honestly. He's getting old. He's not going to be the number one wide receiver on any team. I don't even think he'll be number 2 on any team, and those are the spots he wants. Come on. It's Desean Jackson.
Yeah.
You know he wants that number 1, number 2 spot. Nothing under that. I don't think he's going to get it, so I think he goes and plays with the Philadelphia Eagles, plays a couple games, maybe a season or 2. I don't know. Retires as an Eagle, and that's it. I mean, he gave us a couple of touchdowns, a couple good plays, but he's definitely slowing down. He's not the same old D-Jack, so I'm not too shocked, surprised, or upset about it.
Yeah.
But I do wish him the best, and hopefully he finds a good team. And, hey, if he does become wide receiver number 1, I hope he goes off.
Yeah, and I would agree. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 or 2. I think maybe he's a wide receiver 3. I think he was upset being wide receiver like 5 for you guys. I mean, the Rams. I'm telling you, man, they are like a 6-shooting revolver, and every single one of those bullets can kill you.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, he was bullet number 7, and he wasn't loaded in the chamber enough, so he got upset. Which, you know, it's right.
Which I get, you know.
He wants PT.
Understandable.
And I can see Philly as a potential landing spot with Jalen Reagor. Eagles, last year's first-round draft pick, struggling big time to get open. Devontae Smith needs some help. Opposite of him, outside of Quez Watkins, I could see that. If that's the case, though, I just don't know, because I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are ready to give up on Jalen Reagor. I think the fans are, but I don't think Jalen Reagor and the Philadelphia Eagles are ready to part ways. It's only been 2 years. He's had Doug Peterson get fired, and he got Nick Sirianni, and everyone knows in Philly what Nick Sirianni does. I mean, it was literally all over my Twitter feed, people dressing up as Nick Sirianni, and they had clipboards it said Philadelphia Eagles plays, and it was screen, don't run, and punt. And
that's terrible.
Just roasting the man.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I think Desean tries to find a team that's in win now mode, and maybe the Cardinals, man.
Cardinals, yeah.
Maybe the Cardinals. Imagine, man. They
went to sleep 7-1, woke up 7-1.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad team to go to. Although, I mean, they have a core of themselves. A.J. Green. But speaking of that, the Cardinals, real quick. A.J. Green, why were you blocking Rasul Douglas? I don't know.
That was definitely miscommunication. A.J. Green, he is not that type of player to not pick up his assignment.
I think what happened was in the huddle, instead of Kyler Murray, you know, because he's a little guy, instead of him projecting his voice out into the entire offense in the huddle, they played a game of telephone, and they're like, hey, pass play. And they got to A.J. Green, and he heard, run play. So I think, like you said, miscommunication. I think that they played a little game of telephone over there in their huddle, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely miscommunication, which sucks because that cost them their undefeated streak. So sad to see.
I'm sure the Rams are happy. Then we have Derrick Henry getting hurt for 6 to 10 weeks. They're saying he's out for the season, more likely than not. And Adrian Peterson, the old workhorse, the original, all day, signing to the Tennessee Titans.
Boomer Sooner.
Yep. Do you think he's going off his alma mater? Do you think he's a boomer, or the Titans say we're gonna cut you sooner?
So both of those analogies sucked.
Okay, I was off the fly, man. Off the fly.
I'm going to say I think the Titans would have wished they would have signed Todd Gurley instead. That's what I gotta say.
All right, old arthritis having running back Todd Gurley.
Yep.
In a man's sport, it's hard to be Gurley. So, I do think that eventually they'll bring in Todd Gurley. I think Adrian Peterson isn't an all 3-down back like he used to be. Mm-hmm. But I think, first down and second down, Adrian Peterson can still get between the yards.
Yeah, he's an NFL player, so he's definitely going to be able to throw down. He's got some grit to him, so yeah. I just think Todd Gurley was a better fit.
He's the adult here, and all these NFL players are his kids. He's going to whoop them. That's all I'm saying.
So, on to the next topic.
And then the next topic, we're doing 32-2. So, let's go to our NFL games here. This upcoming week, we're just going to say W or L, and then you're going to tell me your thoughts. We'll just do what we did last time and kind of reverse. So, let's do... I'm putting 2 minutes on the clock, man. It's going to have to go fast. We're not going to be able to really explain until overtime. All right. Our first game is Chargers and the Eagles. Who you taking?
Chargers, W.
All right. Any thoughts on the two teams?
Eagles looked good last week. Chargers did not look good, but I think Chargers come back.
All right. Agree there. All right. We have the Jets and the Colts. I think the Colts get the W. Carson Wentz made a bonehead throw in the overtime, but I think he turns it around. And the Jets are the Jets. Although Mike White played pretty well, and I think Zach Wilson might have lost his job. All right, next we have the Falcons and the Saints.
Saints, W.
Who keeps putting question marks in the teleprompter here?
It's hard, man, because Saints don't have Winston anymore. But I'm going Saints, W.
All right, we have the Bills and the Jags. I think the Bills take an easy dub here, and the Bills versus the Jags. Come on.
Yeah.
We have the Broncos and the Cowboys.
Broncos and the Cowboys. I'm going Cowboys.
All right. We have the Patriots and the Panthers. I think the Patriots get this game.
No.
Sam Darnold. He's washed, man. I don't think he can't be washed if you're never good. He's just dirty. All right. We have the Vikings versus the Ravens.
Ravens. Come on. Vikings look terrible. Terrible.
All right. We have the Browns and the Bengals. I think the Bengals take this one. The Bengals are dominant this year. Joey Burrow, Jamar Chase, unreal. We have the Texans versus the Dolphins.
Boy, that's I really have no idea. I'll go Dolphins. Dolphins have a couple more pieces, but both terrible teams.
All right. We have... It says time's up, but we're going to finish this. We only had a couple more games. Raiders versus the Giants. I think the Giants get the dub. I think the firing of their head coach, Henry Ruggs, running, killing people. I think that just too much going on right now. I think Giants get the dub. All right, Packers versus the Chiefs.
Packers.
Would agree there. All right, Cardinals versus the 49ers. I think the Cardinals get the dub. We move on to the Titans versus the Rams.
I'm saying the Rams with that new unified defense and the Titans losing Derrick Henry. Rams all day.
All right, and our last game is the Bears versus the Steelers. I think the Steelers get the dub. I think Justin Fields is finally coming into his own. He played pretty good against the 49ers last week, but he still had some mishaps. I think the Bears won't be fixed until Matt Nagy gets fired. So I think the Steelers get the dub. And then we have the football team, Buccaneers, Lions, and Seahawks all on buys this week. So if you're a fan of them, hopefully you can watch these other games and still enjoy. Unless you're a football team fan and then you're just an Lions fan, then you're pretty much just... We're playing this week? Are we in a game?
It's going to be the same outcome, not getting a win.
Yeah. I mean, any conclusions, man? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything that we might have missed, not talked about earlier in the show that was maybe off topic?
I'm not really thinking of anything.
Any hot takes that you want to put out there in the atmosphere?
Well, I said my hot takes was going to be the same every week, but this week, my conclusion and hot take is going to be sign Cam Newton. Sign Cam Newton if you want to win football games. Come on, Washington. Sign the man. Let's go.
Sign the man.
That's all I got.
Oh, man. My hot take, Pat Mahomes is turning it around a little bit, and we're going to reach for this one. I think that the Buffalo Bills make it to the Super Bowl, and they play the Los Angeles Rams.
That's a bold prediction.
Yeah.
That is definitely a bold prediction, but I fully stand by it.
Yeah, 100%. fully stand by it.
No.
I got you there.
Definitely.
All right.
I
think that wraps up the show. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Live episodes, or not live, but new episodes every Wednesday of Sideline to Sideline with your host, Taylor, and me, Brandon. Keep watching, keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep laughing. Follow us on TikTok now. We do have a TikTok, Sideline to Sideline.
We are on the old TikTok.
So for any other hot takes we may not put on the show, and again, leave a comment. We will read your comments, and we might pull it up on the show. If you disagree with us, let us know, and we'll discuss it next episode. I think that wraps it up, and see you guys next week.